Again with another Here For It Live. And this time, my guest is the amazing Fran Hauser. Thanks so much for being here, Fran.
Hi, Catherine. So great to be here.
Yeah, so we and you and I connected like years and years and years ago, and I think that we really started to grow a relationship during COVID, and it's just been so much fun to kind of follow your journey. And you're such an advocate for women. It's like unbelievable how impactful just being able to soundboard things off of you has been for me personally. And you've done a couple of events at Palette around both of your books actually, and now you are off to another adventure. So tell us
Mm.
a little about that and how it all came to fruition.
Yeah, so just recently, a few months ago, I launched a company called Bookbound Co. And it's really a coaching service to help aspiring authors bring their books to life. And it's something, this coaching is something that I've been doing like very reactively over the last 5 years since my first book came out. Where, people will reach out and they'll say, I'm thinking about writing a book. I don't know where to start. Can you help me? And what I realized is that I really love this work. I love, and I think part of it is because I see the impact that both of my books have made with women reaching out to me and sharing stories with me about, very specific things in one of the books that's been helpful to them in their professional life. And so it's just so fulfilling to see how a book can make, can really have an impact. Um, and so there's something just really rewarding about like helping others bring their books to life. And I decided I wanted to lean in to that part of my professional life more. I want to be more proactive about the coaching. I productized it. So I have like a few different services that I offer. I have an actual website. Sometimes you have to put up the shingle, like to just like make it official and real and just kind of like let the world know like, hey, I'm open for business. So it's just been like super fun and really rewarding.
Yeah, and I also think like just at this level of your career and everything, it's like it's you get tired of people picking your brain and kind of just like giving all this information away or resources away. And I know me personally, I've started to feel like a little like deflated, and it's like, well, wait a minute, that was like a lot of energy to put forth into that consult or whatever. So I think it's great for you to monetize it, right, and basically say
Yes.
like, this is of value, and if you want the support and the help, I'm happy to do so, but you're going to pay me.
Yeah. No, it's the word deflating, I think is a good word, right? Like when you're giving your time, your energy, your, introductions to people in your network, right? Like those are all assets. And it does feel deflating when you're doing it like consistently with someone like for free. I mean, obviously, like I'm a giver, I'm generous. You open this up by saying, how we've had conversations around your business and the founder journey. And I love being helpful. It really does, bring me a lot of joy. But then it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, wait a second, like this is real value that I am adding and I'm creating, and this is hours of my time. So it should be valued. It should be appropriately valued.
Yeah, so walk us through the process of working with you on this. Like, I really do
Mm.
believe that everyone has a book in them,
Mhm.
and it can be so rewarding for you personally to put yourself out there in that way. And then obviously the impacts you're being made by all of your readers. But how is like how does that how what's the structure of it, and
Yeah.
how do you go about working with you?
Yeah. So I have a website, bookboundco.com, where you can book a free 20-minute consultation. And I think that's really important because I want to understand kind of where the person is in their journey. And I also want to make sure that I can be helpful to them because, my focus is really nonfiction books. I don't, it's not fiction, it's not children's books. Like I want to be very clear about where I can add value. So we would set up a session, and usually what I'm finding is that it usually ends up coming down to one of three ways that I can be helpful. So The first is, it's somebody who has an idea, but they don't know where to start. They don't understand how the publishing system works because it's complicated. So I really help to like demystify it, and we kind of like get into like what path would be the best, traditional, hybrid, or self-publishing. There's there are more than one ways to skin the cat, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that. So I feel like that's like definitely one kind of pain point that I'm seeing. The other is a nonfiction author who has a big platform and is really intent on getting that traditional book publishing deal with a big publisher. So they have to go through and write a full proposal, because nonfiction is different than fiction, right? Fiction, you submit your manuscript. Nonfiction, you're submitting a proposal, which is a business plan for your book. So it's not just like what the book is about and how you're going to position it, but it's also how are you going to market it as an author, right? So you really like there's a whole marketing plan inside of the book proposal. So that's a place where I can be helpful, is really crafting a compelling proposal. And then the last piece of it is for people who have a book coming out and they need help creating a marketing and promotion plan. That's another big piece of it because, as I just said with nonfiction, um, a lot of the work is on you, the author, to get the book out.
Yeah,
And
even if you're working with a publishing house or you're self-publishing, you still have a lot of responsibility to bring to the table and handle.
yeah, either way, and it's like whether it's activating your network, whether it's like getting really creative about partnerships, companies that and organizations that might be able to buy copies of the book, in bulk. How are you going to use your social media? Do you have media connections? There's a whole kind of checklist.
Right. And then it's not just it turns into not just writing the book, it's like marketing the book, and then if you have to go on tour, and
Oh my
it
God.
runs the gamut.
After I finished writing my first book and it was edited, and Houghton Mifflin Harcourt was my publisher. They officially accepted the manuscript. So like the content was done. And I remember saying to my agent, I feel like I can breathe. Like this is just amazing, right? And she goes, "Oh no, but now the hard work begins. Now you have to promote it." And I think I always like knew that I would have to do it, but I didn't realize how intense it was going to be. I mean, I literally approached it you're marketing a product. You're putting together a marketing plan for a product. So it's thinking about how do you tap into influencers? Um, how do you get people to write reviews for your book on Goodreads and Amazon? So all of it, speaking engagements. It's a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah. And so tell us about, is there an impact piece of this, the Bookbound initiative?
Yes. So I'm so excited about this. It's basically a grant program, and applications just opened up for it. So you can learn more at bookboundco.com, where we will select one aspiring author, unpublished, underrepresented voice or underrepresented topic, and we will fund the production of the book, and we'll also bring in resources that can be helpful, whether it's someone to create a beautiful cover or do the interior layout or copy editor, whatever, like we identify um, who the resources are, and we pull them in, and we do coaching. We fund the whole thing, and we bring the book to life, which is really, really exciting.
Wow. Wow. Well, you're such a giver. And of course there would be a piece to this that would, go to help people who are underrepresented. So what's next? I mean, I know you just got this started, but do you
I
see
know.
this? I hate when people do that, and I just did it. Like, you just had this ribbon cutting, and now what are you gonna do,
Right, what is
woman?
it gonna do? It's funny. I feel like I'm just being so open about what this can turn into. Like I've always wanted to open a bookstore. Like it's such a like a bucket list item. And now I'm kind of picturing, and you're going to appreciate this, Catherine. I'm picturing like a physical space that is part bookstore and part like a space where I can do my coaching and I can bring in aspiring authors and I can do workshops. And I don't know, like I keep visualizing where I'm like sitting with someone and we're talking about their book idea, and then we can just walk over to and look at some books and look at like, okay, how would we structure your book? And let's get some cover ideas. And it's sort of this like bringing these two worlds together because I'm such a voracious reader and consumer of books. So there's like the reader side and then there's the author side. So I don't know, like I feel like I'm gonna manifest this. It's gonna happen at some point. I'm not sure when, I'm not sure where, but I would love to see, like, the next iteration of Bookbound be a physical space.
Oh, that is so exciting. Well, I mean, I'm sure, yeah, it's definitely gonna happen. You just put it out into the
I
world.
put it
So,
out,
yep, and
so now it has to happen.
that's kind of like how it goes though, right? You put it out and someone reaches out to you and you just collaborate to bring it to life.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is just like the communities that you're involved in, and what have you gotten out of your own network, and how do you go about asking for help and getting help, even for this bookbound consulting company, like, how do you get yourself going,
Yeah.
and motivated?
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's, I've tapped into so many different people in my network. I've spoken to agents, to literary agents, because I really want to understand like what are they seeing in the market? What when aspiring authors go to them, with an idea for a nonfiction book, um, what are they seeing as the big kind of, the big pain points? Um, Talking to editors at publishing houses, talking to I've met, a lot of interesting people sort of in the there's all these self-publishing services that are out there. That's like a whole new world for me. Where I've asked friends to connect me, with people that run these self-publishing services. So I do a lot of kind of listening and learning and asking questions, and because I really wanna make sure that I'm not building this in a vacuum, that I'm really building it in a way that it's going to be helpful to people. So, really understanding, like, what's going on out there, and, like, where should I be focusing? And this is where it's so helpful to have communities like the We Suite is a big one for me that I tap into. The What Alliance is another one, um, where, there are incredible people that have generosity, of spirit and all that good stuff, and wanna be helpful. So, yeah, it's and I have to push myself to do that because I can really get into a place where I'm so happy just sitting here working on my laptop, you know? I feel like my laptop is my friend, It's like I'm just really comfortable. So I can get into a place where it's like I can come up with an idea and I'll be like writing it out and like crafting it, and I kind of have to push myself to say, okay, wait, you got to check in with people. Like reach out to people who are in this space and who have a really good idea of what's going on. So sometimes I don't know, sometimes I do have to people find that surprising because I'm such a connector. I'm always like connecting people. But because because I'm more introverted, that's a place where I have to push myself a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just not fun to go at it alone, and to be at
That's
the top
true.
of the hill by yourself, so I'm all about, bringing people along for the ride. And I think it's also, the thought that you are the only person that can make something happen is just so ridiculous. It's like you need
It's
help, you need different ideas, you need a diverse sounding board, to kind of let you know and call you on your stuff where it's like, okay, yeah, no, Fran, this is not going to work. Like
yeah.
it's, just like
Oh,
everything
yeah.
else, or whatever the concept is.
Oh, yeah,
And
I even had people, like, look at the website before I launched it because, you get into this place where, like, you're so in the weeds, and there were a couple of people that, came back with, like, really powerful suggestions, just, like, tweaking words that like really made a big difference. And like one thing was actually kind of misleading the way that I had positioned it. So getting feedback is kind of amazing. And frankly, it's also you're also like doing business development while you're doing this, right? Because now I have a couple of agents that I've spoken to that are like, oh my gosh, I'm working with an author right now where their book is coming out in 6 months. They can use your help on the marketing and promotion side. So like as you're having these conversations, you're also putting it out there, right? That you're open
Yeah.
for business. So
Yeah.
that's the other benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I always say like it's all about your network and making sure that they all know what you're working on or what you're trying to accomplish so that they can be working for you also to spread the word and make the connections. Um okay, you did say that you're a vivacious reader, which doesn't surprise me, but how many books, I'm dying to know how many books do you read? Like, are you a one book a night? I mean, Marcella can like read one book in one night
I
and
can.
you
Yeah, I
can.
read so last year, I think I read about 60 books,
Wow.
and but it, like, I go through phases, where, like, there might be a week where I read 3 books, but then I don't read for, like, 2 or 3 weeks, like, so it just depends on everything else that's going on in my life.
Yeah.
But I ever since I was a little girl, it's my escape. It really is. Like, I feel like just being able to sit with a really great book and just, like, get into, like, the characters and it's oh my god, I just love it. I love it so much. I feel like it's kind of what Netflix or just streaming does for a lot of people, like, in terms of just um, like, that guilty pleasure kind of,
Yeah.
that's what books do for me.
And do you read like bits and pieces of book or you have to do start to finish before you start another book?
Oh, I have to do start to finish unless it's nonfiction and fiction. If it's nonfiction and fiction, I can read those side by side, right? But I can't do 2 fiction books at once because then I'm gonna get confused, like, with the characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I definitely have to, like, stick with the fiction from, like, start
It's
to end.
I
Yeah.
feel like I have so many books that I've cracked open and I haven't finished any, but I think I'm gonna take you up on that strategy. It's just like finish one thing,
Just
you
finish
know?
it.
Yeah.
Finish it.
Yeah.
Just, like,
Focus.
get through it. My favorite book from last year was Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, which is an incredible, incredible book. I actually think it got the Goodreads, like, fiction book of the year. Um, it's long, and I think I wanna say it was, like, 500 or 600 pages. I may be,
Wow.
like, overstating it because it was a while ago that I read it, but it was, like, one of those books where, like, I kinda wanna go back and, like, read it again. It was so
Reread it.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
really.
do you go by Goodreads? You just kind of look at the reviews and pick books, or I'm assuming you have just like a network of people who are authors, so you got to read their books too.
Yeah, I have a lot yes, I get a lot of books. Like, right now, I have a stack of 15 books. Half of them are kind of from friends or, like, people that have written nonfiction books that, are asking for an endorsement or, just help promoting the book in some way.
Yeah.
And then the other half are all just, like, fun fiction reads. I think I'm gonna get a lot of reading in this summer.
Yes. Yes. And then tell me, you have a is it an Instagram handle where it's Fran's book? What is
Fran's
that?
Bookshelf. Yeah,
Okay.
Fran's Bookshelf, I started during COVID, which is just it's just reviews of books that I read, and it's just so fun. It's just like a little, like, creative outlet. It's funny, Catherine, when I launched that, everyone was like, "Where's this going?" Your question about what's next.
Yeah.
Like, "How are you gonna monetize this?" I'm like, "No, no, no, it's just a creative outlet."
Right.
It's just a bookstagram,
Yeah. I
and
love it.
it's just for fun. So I don't really think it's going anywhere, but it's just fun. I think we all
Yeah.
need those creative outlets
Right. Well, I
and
mean, and I
hobbies.
think that, yeah, I have that same problem. If it's like if I start a project, people are like, "Oh, what's," and I just think it's like what my therapist tells me this all the time. She's like, "It's because like what is going to happen is what has always happened, right? So like you just kind of keep on doing the same things, and because you
Yeah,
keep on creating awesome stuff that are successful, that is what people expect of you
yeah.
now. So you either have to lower the bar and reset the expectations for people, or you just keep going."
I know. Well, it's like business people can have hobbies too. Not everything has to be a business. Like, I know, like, I've been in business my whole life. You know, my parents had small businesses. I helped them when I was like 7 years old. Like, so whether it was like helping them or like running big businesses in corporate or, you know, now investing in startups, business has just like been the through line for me, right? In my career. But you're right. It like sets this expectation. So
Yeah.
I always have to remind people, you know, I can
Like
have
you're
hobbies
human. You're
too.
human.
I'm
Yeah.
human.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here for it today. I'm so excited to see, and keep following with Bookbound. And, I know actually one of our members had reached out to you and I think consulted with you a little bit on her book that just came out. So it's really cool to kind of like be part of someone's journey in that way. So thanks again so much.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks for having